This meeting of the Board of the Tyler Independent School District was previously called to order. There's a presence of a quorum. The meeting has been duly called, and the notice of the meeting has been posted in the time and manner required. Thank you all for being here. As we always do, we'll start tonight with a prayer and the pledge, and I think it's my turn. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, in the month where we celebrate love on Valentine's Day, we are reminded of the love that you have for us, an unconditional, unending, unyielding love that never ceases, no matter how we treat you. Lord, I just pray that you'll infect us with that love and it will flow forth to our students. May we as a board just seek your will with all we do, living sacrificially as you did and doing what is best for the district, not necessarily what might be best for any individual. We're thankful for the opportunity to serve in the community that we do, a faithful community that gives out of the blessings that you provide it with. We pray for those who couldn't be here tonight and their families, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, we do have a little action coming out of executive session.
Mr. President, I move that the board terminate the probationary employment contracts of Raquel Silva, David Brock, and Arlette Martinez in the best interest of the district.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. We are now moving on to the best part of the meeting, special recognitions.
Hello, board members. Hello, Dr. Crawford. Tonight, we want to present to you our district Students of the Month for February. And the elementary student of the month is Brinley Pettigrew, and she is from Dr. Brian C. Jack Elementary School. And our secondary student of the month is Janian Manning, and he's a senior at Tyler Legacy. And we have a really cute video for y'all to watch that we'll watch at this time.
Thank you.
School year, we see successful student outcomes happening all around us, whether in the classroom, on the court, on the field, or across the stage. We celebrate these successes. This is our school district, and these are our students of the month. Let's take a look at this month's elementary student of the month.
Hi, I'm Brinley Pettigrew, and I'm the District Elementary Student of the Month for February.
Brinley is a true Jack patriot, constantly striving to leave a legacy of success at her school.
I want it to be remembered by how good I help to one another and how good I focus to one another.
Brinley often demonstrates habit one, be proactive, by trying her best at everything she does, following directions, and doing the right thing when no one is watching. Her teacher, Mr. William Line, has this to say.
Jack is trying to be a legacy lighthouse campus this year, and when I was thinking about that, I was trying to think of a student who showed that they're striving to leave a legacy of greatness behind. And Brinley came to mind. You know, she's been a standout student academically. She does a lot of great things to help her classmates whenever they need help with different things in class. She just steps up and does that without even being asked.
Now let us take a look at our district secondary student of the month, Janian Manning.
Hi, I'm Janian Manning. I'm District Secondary Student of the Month for February.
Janian is a senior at Tyler Legacy. He has a 3.63 GPA and has been accepted to 14 colleges and universities, earning more than $350,000 in scholarships. Janian recently competed in DECA in the Sports, Entertainment, and Marketing category and will be competing at the state competition next month.
I'm kind of new to it, but like it's basically for people in the business world, students who want to learn more about it. It just gets us more practice how a real world scenario would be.
Janayan is actively involved in student council and AVID, and even started a student organization called AVID Ambassadors that seeks to help fellow Red Raiders navigate the college application process. His AVID teacher, Mrs. April McAdoo, had positive words to say about this young man.
Janayan has been an AVID for several years, and he is the epitome of the perfect AVID student. He always comes to class prepared. He takes total advantage of everything that we're teaching him when it comes to college readiness or applying to colleges or applying for scholarships. He goes above and beyond. He'll stay after class, he'll stay after school, he'll come before school. He pursues those opportunities.
Let's congratulate these outstanding students as we continue to reflect successful student outcomes throughout the district. Sponsored by Christus Trinity Mother Francis Health System.
Y'all can come down. Okay, so at this time, we'll ask Brinley, I saw her over there, Brinley to come to the front of the room. And Dr. Crawford, she's my photographer for tonight. And then we have Janayan, if you would like to come. And tonight, our district teacher of the month for February is Humphreys, and she's a third grade teacher at Rice Elementary School. And if you'll just come up, Angela. And that is the correct name for her name, Angela. And you can just get up there. Mr. Smiley, her principal, wanted to share remarks about her. I'm gonna let her get finished. So just some really neat facts about Ms. Humphrey. Mr. Smiley shared that she does a fantastic job of allowing student collaboration within her lessons and implementing leadership roles. She includes a song in her lessons, and it is evident through her student scores and classroom that she puts in the work to help her students succeed. Now here's a fun little, we think is really cool thing for Ms. Humphrey. Ms. Humphrey came to the United States 23 years ago with just $200 and her suitcases. And she is starting her 14th year with Tyler ISD. And we think that she is very deserving of this recognition. And that's it.
Okay, congratulations once again to everybody who received recognitions tonight. Good stuff. We have public participation on the agenda next, and nobody from the public wants to participate tonight, so. So we'll go ahead and move on down the agenda. We have the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion on items A through D?
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Moving on down to continuous improvements and student outcomes, we have some updates coming along. So goal 1 and 2, M-Class and Renaissance, middle of the year update.
As part of the board monitoring calendar, we're going to have Ms. Chapa come up and actually present this data for you guys, and some pretty good places that we're at right now, some things to work on as part of that continuous improvement process. Here we are to present to the board.
And I will say this, if y'all want to go, feel free. People do it every meeting, so it's not a bit, our feelings won't be hurt, won't be offended,
I won't
although.
take it personally either.
Yeah, Ms. Chapa will not take it personally. You're walking out right in front of her presentation.
Bye, Wendy Sherman. Bye, Wendy Sherman. Sweet girl.
Again, good evening, President Washman, trustees, Dr. Crawford. I have the pleasure of being the first of many updates tonight. And as was stated, we're going to be looking at Goal 1 and Goal 2 regarding our M-Class results and Star Renaissance. So we're going to start off with Amplify M-Class. M-Class is used for our kindergarten through second grade students as part of our House Bill 3 requirements, where we have an embedded reading instrument. So this is provided one-on-one with students. Teachers use their iPad, and it assesses a variety of reading skills. And so we utilize this tool to ensure that all students are growing, and then more specifically, how students are performing on their different reading skills. So here we have a composite of M-Class growth from beginning of year to middle of year. And as you can see, we saw tremendous growth with our kindergarten students. And we also saw more growth between first and second grade. M-Class is an adaptive test, and so the middle of year marker does increase from the beginning of the year. And this is our third year utilizing this instrument, so something we have been improving upon is our progress monitoring in between beginning of year and middle of year. And so again, you can see that the campuses that improved per grade level on that far right-hand side, where we're seeing a majority of our campuses seeing that growth. On this particular table, you'll see student performance for grade levels by demographic. And again, we are seeing lots of growth from all of our students from beginning of year to middle of year. We utilize this information to, again, create small groups and targeted instruction. Although we see strengths in a lot of area, we do see that our African Americans are not growing comparative to their peers, which campuses are addressing that in their LIFT plans. So we're up for a formative review and making sure that we're targeting students for small group instruction and providing those interventions. On this particular graph, you'll see the variety of skills that each grade level is assessed on. One of the other areas that we are looking at is our first grade progress monitoring. First grade has that balance between learning to read and then trying to get to reading fluency. So out of all the grade levels, they do have the opportunity to possibly be assessed on more skills than you might see in kindergarten and second grade. But again, we are doing a much better job of having our assessment department work with our teachers on how to utilize those progress monitoring tools appropriately and making sure that we're supporting students with that personalized instruction. And again, before I leave M-Class, again, a lot of strengths, a lot of growth that we've seen in previous years, and that I believe is just through teacher integrity to the instrument and learning how to assess and score appropriately, as well as improving in our progress monitoring. So now we're going to skip into Star Renaissance. Star Renaissance is utilized for our kindergarten through 8th grade. We do this for both math and reading 3 times a year, and it's administered on the computer. So students have that individual or group setting. They might also take this, generally it's 1 sitting. It may have to be 2 sittings depending on time because it is an adaptive test. But we utilize this tool to project proficiency for our STAR assessments. So again, this is just a reminder of how we look at STAR proficiency from our not passing to passing, which would be approaches, our meets expectations, and our masters. So we're going to look at reading first, and again, a lot of green, a lot of good things are happening, especially in our kinder and 1st grade. Also in our middle school, we typically do see a decline at this time of year, but we've been able to minimize that in areas as well as see some growth in 7th and 8th grade. Part of where we see sometimes with Star Renaissance is what it's testing is not necessarily in alignment with what teachers are utilizing with the curriculum. So that's something that we're also looking at towards the future of finding a tool that potentially supports our daily teacher instruction. Renaissance also provides us some information on comparative districts. So other districts who are like Tyler that utilize this assessment at the specific grade levels. As you can see in elementary and comparing to those districts, we are ranking first in a lot of our grade levels, as well as staying towards the top as we get into middle school. But this is also really helpful information for us to look at how we're comparing and trying to get an idea of how we're going to perform statewide when it comes to the actual STAR assessments.
Before you skip on that, go back to that page. Remember on the enrollment, that's not the enrollments of, obviously, we've got 18,000 plus in our school system. That's the number of kids that are tested.
Correct.
Using STAR Ren. Okay.
Right. So it does not include our high schools. Here we see our targeted, our targets for our goal 1 and where we are currently at middle of the year. So we can see that kindergarten is already reaching our end of year targets, which is incredible. We could be looking at this possibly being a result of having early literacy addressed in pre-K and Head Start. So we're seeing some success there. Also, there are several areas in which we are just a couple of percents off. So that means 1 or 2 kiddos away from already being at our end of year target at this time. So this is, really promising as we look towards our trajectory for end of year. And definitely we'll be utilizing this information to improve some of our small group reading instruction.
And before you move on from there, I know you said it twice there, but just anybody who might be looking, or like me, who just automatically thinks if I have a middle of the year and I see target that it's a middle of the year target, that is
Our
that is
end
an
of year
end
target.
of year target, and that's where we are relative to that. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you. And then we're going to step right into math. And this is really positive information. Like I mentioned before, 7th grade math has typically been a difficult area for us to address, and to see that here at the middle of the year, we're improving at that meets and masters area is really promising. Also to note, throughout the grade levels here, our meets numbers are improving. And that is really great to know that students are not just meeting the approaches level, but we're setting ourselves up in the early grades to have more students on grade level projected by 3rd grade. So again, a lot of strengths starting with our math instruction and working with students on that personalized instruction, small groups, especially through our middle schools as well, where we're seeing that at Hubbard and 3 Lakes. Again, we are provided the comparison information. And this is terrific for us to be looking at how we are comparing towards our peers in math through all of our grade levels. Kindergarten does not have that comparison. Not a lot of districts utilize Star Renaissance in kindergarten for math, generally because it's not normed at the kindergarten level. We choose to use it and utilize that data to support our instructions and begin building that early numeracy, but that's where you won't see that comparison there. And again, comparing our current middle of year to our end of year target, we're seeing lots of green on this slide. And again, it's just very promising because this is more than what we've typically had in previous years, where we're this close or just off our end of year target by middle of year. All right. And so at this time, we can have any questions or?
Anybody on the board have any questions? We'll just look your way, man.
Hey, really, I know, on this especially. I'm very impressed with the progress we're making, and I think that we will exceed all our goals, I'm hoping, by the end of the year. I'm amazed. The kindergarten is really the area that I've seen the most growth, I think, over these past couple of years or so, which means that if that continues to carry on, we'll be doing excellent in the next 2 or 3 years with the K through 3rd grade, probably, at this point. So it's a great trend. Hopefully we can keep it up. I'm not easily impressed. I've been a little critical in regards to some of these, but I think it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll take this moment to give some praise to our elementary principals who are really prioritizing where we're headed with our phonics and phonemic awareness. The instruction in classrooms has improved over the past few years. Reading academies coming down, but they're really taking some ownership and making sure that that's a priority.
Move over to the math. I think that's the one. So everybody remembers the STAR results this last year. We were in 88, B district or whatever we were. And we had been making a living. Our reading scores actually improved, right, Dr. Gropel, Ms. Chapa? Mm-hmm. And then math, they moved those pesky cut scores on us a little bit. It's like a moving target every year, right? Mm-hmm. And so everybody's like, we've been making so much progress and performing very well every year, except for last year, the math stuff was like, what happened? Well, it happened all over the state. Well, I think that shows that we've actually kind of recovered a little bit. In regard, at least we're staying on track and growing kids in mathematics again. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the STAR test again this year and the cut scores and all the, I guess they've already released those, right, Dr. Curitan? Yeah, they've already released those. So we'll see how it ends up, but it looks like we're making gains as far as continuous improvement, so.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I'd encourage everybody who's in on this, focus on continually improving. And I think that, there not too often you see crazy spikes, but I think we've trended in the right direction for so long. And whatever we're doing, keep it up so we can get to where we want to be. So thank you.
Yeah.
Anything? Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say kudos to all of you guys who are digging in and helping these principals and all the teachers and everything. It clearly shows. I love getting this stuff, but I immediately go to where's the red? And I texted Dr. Crawford on Friday. I was like, this looks good. And it does. There's just a lot of growth. And what I was noticing too was on the math, the masters from K through 4th almost doubled in percentage. And that's just unreal. That's awesome.
Yeah. Kudos to our teachers. The culture's changed. 8 years ago, it was plain school. We all remember those sayings that we had, that we talked about. But we do really embrace ourselves, I think, now and celebrate ourselves as a school system of schools that are focused on learning. And our teachers have really done a good job embracing. Our principals are excellent. Our chief school officers like Ms. Chapa, Dr. Ward, Dr. Davis, our curriculum folks led by Dr. Norman. There's a lot of folks that deserve kudos on this that really do concentrate on that and then, let folks like constituent services, like John Johnson handles some of the other parts of the school system in regard to when parents have concerns about maybe buses running late or discipline. So we really have it, I think, targeted and focused the right way, and kudos to those folks that are doing the work on teaching and learning.
I would just kind of echo that, and since we have some unknowns that are coming with this current STAR redesign, you know, it's just really important, and our teachers have done a really great job of embracing that, and I think this is evident, right? Like, we're increasing some rigor in our classrooms to address what may be coming up, and not waiting for that to happen to us, and I think we're seeing the results of it right now.
Okay, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a athletics update coming up.
So as part of your board monitoring calendar, we have Mr. Greg Priest that'll be providing the athletics update. Following him will be Ms. Laney O'Connell, our Director of VPA, when it's her opportunity. And joining Mr. Priest is going to be Assistant Athletic Director Sam Gillespie. He gets to sit at the table also, it looks like.
Place at the table.
So we appreciate those two gentlemen and giving the board their mid-year update on athletics.
Yeah. Well, good evening, President Washman, trustees, Dr. Crawford. Thanks for letting us come and present this update. Yeah, I need a little help with maybe some middle school if we had some questions tonight on that. But excited to give you the update on our, basically this is our fall, and I only did sports that were completely finished. I know we just we've finished district play and basketball, but with some of the teams still in the playoffs and some of those things with, I kind of did it as Gina needed as y'all needed the timeline. So even though swim finished up on this past weekend, I didn't include that because I want to make sure that we provide them a great update on the next one. So, all right. So this year, especially in football and volleyball, we moved into a new district this year. Definitely a more challenging district than what we've had in the past. This is definitely a deal, and it's going to be for all of our sports as we move across this. But it is definitely some districts where you've got to bring it every single week, and there are no cupcakes in this thing, and so we trying to get us to elevate our programs and where we know that we can compete in those things. So football at Tyler High, finished 5th place, 2-8 in the district. One of the biggest bright spots in it was the 9th grade A team went 7-2-1 and finished 5-1-1 in district. That is a really talented special group that's coming across here. Played Longview, went 21-20, went for 2 at the end, and unfortunately didn't convert that, and so, but overall, a really good season for those guys. Had several all-district players, and academic all-state, had five kids that were honorable mention all-state. As far as legacy, 10-6A, definitely that district improved as well. 6th place in the district, 2-8. Basically, everybody across the board went 2-8. Except for the B team, 9th grade B team going 5-4. Had the newcomer of the year in the district, a couple of first team all districts and a couple of second teams, and then had 1 elite academic all state and then 5 academic all Americans all state. So we made, as you know, we made some changes in football, and so I'm very excited about the leadership that we have and the people that we put in place this year. So very excited about the upcoming years, and then I'll touch on the football numbers here on this next slide. But as far as volleyball, that district right there too, I know Tyler High has slid in there in that 3rd and 4th spot, and it is a really tough district. For them right now, and just us trying to get to that level and really getting our numbers up, getting this, making sure that we're competing at a high level and getting our kids to feel like they know that they can compete in this district. 6th place, little concerning on a lot of that. I mean, we didn't do great all the way across the board. Numbers are still there, but we've got some work to do, and we need to close that gap for this district. Did have some superlatives. I mean, some all-district players in there, and then some academic all-state members as well. Legacy, it's the first time we have missed the playoffs, and I know that we missed it maybe my first year here. We played an ineligible player that one time, so wound up not going that year. And so this is the first year we've finished fifth. Once again, it's a very tough district, but the one really good bright spot in this one is our sub-varsities did pretty well. That ninth grade A team finished 15-5, went 9-3 in the district, and it's the first time that we've ever been able to beat Rockwall Heath, and we competed against Rockwall. So the future in there looks very bright. I'm very excited about that group moving up. As far as had some all-district players, and then academic all-state. Academic all-state, you had 2 second team and 3 honorable mentions. On to the next page, cross country, Tyler High. We did get our numbers up, which is very encouraging. That was one of our goals, was to get those numbers up and make sure that we're competing, fielding a team on the JV and the varsity, and we were able to accomplish that. We're getting some kids that really are passionate about running. So, and that is all about having a coach that was really excited, that can build the momentum and get that thing going. When the coach is passionate about it, you can you're going to find some kids. And so I think we're headed in the right direction on that. Although we didn't see it on the results from the district finishes, but we did field two teams at each level, so very encouraging there. Tyler Legacy has continued to compete well. Boys and girls both finished second. JVs finished second and third. Had the individual district champion on the girls' side. Several runners made it to regional. So Coach Toybear has done a really good job, and he's got a lot of those kids running year round. We've got a lot of young kids in the middle school. So we're doing a lot of good things, and so I think the future is very bright on cross country. Team tennis, Tyler High has had a lot of success the last couple of years in team tennis, being able to make the playoffs this year, finishing fifth. They stepped into a really hard district with Longview, Texas High, Hallsville, White House. It's pretty tough, but we held our own. We competed very well and made a run for that last spot. And Coach Q has really done a good job, and he keeps those numbers up. And it's impressive to go and watch those kids compete and day in, day out. Tyler Legacy, Coach Sizemore, he's done a really good job. District champions for the varsity and the JV. Got beat by the Woodlands in the regional finals this year, and they're doing a really good job, and that we just on both sides we're really getting a lot of numbers and a lot of interest in from the middle school all the way up, and they were also recognized as the USTA 6A regional Region 2 Team Sportsmanship Award. Now moving on to the football participation numbers. That was one of our goals, was to increase those numbers, and we've done that, both at Tyler High and at Legacy. Varsity had 51, 43 on the JV, and then we had 73, which was an increase of 19 kids from the previous year. Over at Legacy, you can see the same numbers, 67, 61, 89, all of those are increases. I did put down here on the bottom, this was the 8th grade participants, so those 9th graders that are there this year. So at Bolter and Moore, there were, you had a total of 105 players in 2021, and so we lost about 32 of those kids. And then we had Hubbard and Three Lakes, where we lost about 38 of those kids. So 127. So I know you're going to lose some every single year. We would like to decrease that number. and hopefully with some of the energy that we have with the new hires and some new staffs, that we will be able to retain those players moving from 8th grade to 9th grade. So we're on that and making sure that we're trying to decrease that number. But as you know, you're always going to lose a few from 8th grade to 9th grade. Okay. Middle school. I think just the same as we did, at the high school level, we definitely jumped into a little bit more competitive middle school with Jacksonville going down, Lindale going down over the years. It's kind of, we were in there with those guys in White House. Now we jumped in with the Longview schools, Lufkin, Nacogdoches, and so it's definitely more competitive. The only downside to going to those schools is most of those teams do not have B teams, which amazes me sometimes. But we're the only, us in White House are the only teams that field B teams in football and some of our other sports. So that being said, we had some success at different levels. Bolter. Going 5-3, and then that in the 7th grade. The 8th grade A is another really special group, just like that group that's in 9th grade right now. They were able to go 8-0 in a tough district. Hubbard had, we've gone through our ups and downs at Hubbard, and being able to get, we had some success and being able to see those guys. I mean, we had a couple of years where we didn't win football games at Hubbard, and now being able to see those guys at 5-3, 6-1, 5-3, that's very encouraging. Three Lakes, that's down a little bit. Especially as you look at some of the numbers. I kind of highlighted a few of these on here. The records weren't as good as we're accustomed to, but also the numbers are down. We had 55 7th grade players. We had 65 8th grade players, and so those are down. If you go back to Moore right there, that's another one that, on the 8th grade level, we had 34 players this year in 8th grade at Moore. And that's down from when those kids were in 7th grade, we had 65. We lost 31 of those kids. And then jumping over to Three Lakes, it's kind of the same way. Whenever in previous years, the 7th grade at Three Lakes had, about 86 players. This year we only had 55 of those. When we had the 85 last year, we only got 65 of those, so down 21.
1,200 kids at Moore, right, Dr. Grubel? 11 change. So let's just give them. We'll be conservative on the numbers. 500 boys at Moore Middle School walking the hallways, right? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so those numbers right there are concerning to me. I have spoken to several ADs and several coaches. Football is down in general.
357th and 8th grade boys. Sorry, we'll give 6th grade. There you go. Okay.
But we definitely have to do a better job of getting our kids and making this a attractive sport, walking those hallways, getting those kids out. And that comes down to, kind of the same thing that I was talking about earlier of having passion. Getting these coaches in here that have passion, that can get in, that relate to kids, that are going to build relationships and get those kids out. So, those are some things that we definitely have to get on the ball on, because we cannot afford to go down to, if it's projected right now, you're looking at 79 players coming into Tyler High. And if we lost 30 of them last year, we cannot afford to lose 30 players again this year to be able to maintain those numbers and have two teams at 9th grade. But I think we've got a good plan. Our coaches are, the coaches that we've assembled understand the importance of the middle school, understand the importance of getting down to the middle school and building relationships. So hopefully we have that solved and moving in the right direction. Moving on to volleyball, had some success. Another tough district. This is one. I will say the first two. I'm going to cover Moore and Bolter. numbers are staying pretty much the same. I mean, we're getting 20. I mean, we're fielding enough teams, and we're making cuts, and we're still cutting players, and in that. And so the numbers are still staying up. It's just their skill level is really down at those two schools, and so making sure that we're, hopefully the youth league, this will be the third year. This is going to be our third year doing volleyball. So, those kids coming in and being able to have some skills in volleyball before they get to 7th grade, but trying to close that gap there. And so you can see their records there. Then we move on to Hubbard. Hubbard had the 7th grade, has a pretty good group. And I think we have our superintendent that has a daughter that's on that team, and they've had some success, and went 12-1, lost that first game of the year to Lufkin, and then was able to come back and beat them in the tournament, and was the tournament district champs. And then 8th grade, 12-2, 3 Lakes, 10-3. 8th grade didn't have as great a year, went 6-7, but I think, overall, those two schools had a very productive year. I did include basketball. The middle school basketball program had ended. As you can see, their records across there, we definitely had some success competing in this. The 7th grade Bolter team finished 3rd in district, but was able to win the tournament. And then the numbers, as you can see at Bolter, I think we started out with 20 and we ended the season with 13. On the 7th grade, on the 8th grade, we started at 27 and ended with 18. So, whether that be grades, I think we had some parents take some kids out, discipline problems, some of those things. Everybody else pretty much held kind of true to those numbers, and kind of around where they started is about where they finished. But we did have some success. Hubbard going 6-3, 7-2. So we definitely got, we have some future bright. The future is bright with some of those young kids that are coming up. Girls, this is another one that is very concerning to me. So at Bolter, as you can see, we started out with 17 players at each one at 8th grade and 7th and 8th grade, and we ended with 6 players on the 7th grade and 10 players on the 8th grade. So really getting with those coaches. I know Coach Gillespie had his visit with them on the reasons why our numbers are so down there. But it's kind of the same thing. We've got grade issues. We got discipline issues, parents pulling them, different things like that. So we will definitely be on top of that. We're visiting, as we start doing our end of the year meetings with our head coaches of addressing these things, of what we've got to do to correct this problem. Moore's, as we look at Moore, their numbers are pretty good. Didn't have a lot of success on those levels. But hopefully next year will be the first year since we started our youth league that all those kids started in the program. So that is what we're looking forward to, is getting kids that are starting in those programs and are getting all the way up. And so by the time they've reached the 7th grade, they've had 3 to 4 years of experience of playing organized sports. So that was so I appreciate you guys letting us do those things. I think it's going to pay huge dividends. We're just needing to get there. As far as on Hubbard on the 7th grade girls had 7th and 8th grade girls had really good years. Both went 9-0, both first place. 7th grade girls won the middle school tournament. And the numbers are up there. Very talented groups right there. Looking forward to the future there. Over at 3 Lakes, 5-4, and then the 8th grade girls went 8-1. And as you can see, those numbers have stayed pretty steady. Some upcoming events, as I mentioned earlier. Swim just finished up. They did win the district championship. Girls finished second. I'll cover that later. And I didn't include that because the state meet was this past weekend, where we had some individuals competing there. Basketball, we've got a playoff game tomorrow night with Lufkin in Lufkin playing Kingwood Park. That's Tyler High, and our girls finished up this past Friday after losing to Red Oak. Soccer, both of those, boys programs doing really well this year. They're at the midway point, both in first place. Girls, Tyler High girls have played pretty well this year. And then Legacy girls, they're in third right now, so we're needing a good push there on this second round. Spring sports, I know we're sitting here tonight, but Tyler High is playing baseball tonight. Coach Gillespie and I got a chance to go over and watch a couple, first inning. Saw the first inning of that. Very encouraging. Probably going to have Tyler High will have a guy that has a chance to get drafted as a pitcher. We've got some good leadership over there right now, so that's very encouraging on what we've got there. And so you've got all your baseball, softball, tennis, track, everything is starting. It is a really busy time. As you know, you probably get those emails from me. I think this week we had about 76 events, and that's just high school. And then here over the next couple of days, probably next week, we'll start getting up in the hundreds. So a lot of activity going on right now. You got everything going on, but with the exception of football and volleyball. So very exciting times. Youth League, this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is something that, we're very appreciative that that you guys have allowed us to do. We've started basketball and volleyball. I guess this is the fourth year on basketball, third year on volleyball. And so the more we can continue to do that league has continued to get better and better. Boys, on the basketball side, I think we had over 664 teams. So over 600 kids, 64 teams. Volleyball, we're right at about 300 kids. So, I mean, we've got the numbers in there now and able to find the coaches to do that. That was, but I really appreciate this guy sitting right here and Haley Skinner. They've done a great job of organizing all those things. And I will tell you, it is going to pay huge dividends for us. But we just need to know that we have to be patient in this thing. So that is our athletics update. Love to take any questions you guys have.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Coach Priest?
Just one comment. It looks like a lot of the areas that you have low attendance, you have a poor record. And I know you're trying, and I know you're trying to hire great people, but it seems like winning hadn't been that big of a deal at some of the lower levels. And kids want to be on winning teams. They just do. It's no fun to play on a losing team year after year. So, I think if maybe some of your middle school and sub-varsity teams are judged on wins and losses as much as anything, maybe people will get motivated to win some more games, and then your numbers grow up and everybody has a much better time. I know that's pretty simple, but
yes, sir.
That's just an observation over the last several years.
I agree, because and we're trying to make sure we get participation. We want everybody to participate, but winning is important. We have to stress that. And finding good staff. Our goal is to continue to get good staff in here. We've made progress, but we've got a long way to go in this thing. I mean, I think compared to a lot of others, we're better, but we've got a long way to go as far as where we want to go and what our expectations are. So it is definitely a work in progress.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I appreciate the numbers. I'm going to kind of tend to be a number person, and noticed a couple of things. I think that in the years to come, it appears that we're going to have better teams. That winning thing seems like it's going to be much better, looking at the ninth grade and that grade level now coming forth across the board for the district. The concern about the relationship between the high school coaches and the middle school coaches as far as the interaction that those two entities may have during the year. Could you address that? How frequent do they actually interact as far as going down and actually meeting with the team and interacting with the students? Because that to me could mean a lot in bringing the numbers forward from middle school to high school, the number of kids that actually participate in regards to that. So what's happening in that arena?
Well, I think so you've got two, I think it's different at both high schools. One is how we have the athletic periods set up. At Tyler High, you've got first and last period athletics. So you've got varsity boys and ninth grade girls first period at Tyler High, and then you've got varsity girls, ninth grade boys last period. So, and then we're expecting them to go to their middle school. So it's trying to find the balance in there for them, because they have to make a choice. Some of our coaches have, we only have 2 people assigned to the middle schools, in some of your sports. Other than football, football usually has a little bit more, a few more coaches, but your volleyballs, basketball coaches, there's only 2. So you have to make a decision on where this is. Do I stay and work with my ninth grade, who needs some attention, or do I go to the middle school? And so it's trying to find that balance in there, and we have not found that. We have got to get better. I mean, that is the one thing that we have got to do. We have got to build relationships. We have got to get down. The coaches have to understand the importance of getting down and touching every single one of those young kids, getting ready for 6th grade coming up. But we've got to do a great job there. Same thing on the other side. And as we went through these interviews with our coaches, when we had our coaching search, I mean, we went through that every single time, just expressing the importance of what we need in the middle schools. And so hopefully that we have gotten that point across of how important and what our expectations are and what we're to do on a daily basis. So at Legacy, we need those coaches down there. I think our basketball coaches, our volleyball coaches have done a pretty good job of getting down there on the Legacy side. Our football coaches, it can be better. And so that is a deal that we have to do. Moving forward, we have got to get better at getting down to the middle school and doing a better job with our sub-varsities and having, as Mr. Bergfeld said, winning programs.
Okay.
Coach Priest, the board's being awfully kind.
Yes, sir.
Here. So, no, they have not been getting down as much as they can. I can tell you that. So, duly noted, y'all have given us a directive. We will pass that directive on. We will monitor, we will supervise, we will correct, we will improve that. Because we've got the schedules and the opportunities and the resources to pull that off, to do that. And we're not in any condition to forget how we all grew up in the coaching profession. We all were sub-varsity coaches at one time before we became head coaches. I don't know of too many people that just became a head coach as soon as their playing days were over. So we have forgotten that, and that needs to be conveyed to your coaches. I hope they're watching tonight. Same thing goes with fine arts and visual performing arts. Our band directors need to be at the middle schools, and our head coaches are the ones that are setting the compass for this. We can't worry about stepping on people's toes because I'm the head coach, but they're the middle school coach and they're the coordinator, or I'm the high school band director, and yet that's the middle school band director. No, that's not how we're stratified. Some districts are that way. The head coach is in charge of the program 6 through 12. And I think we've allowed them to have an excuse of, well, they're the junior high coaches. That's their responsibility. Or we just don't go do it. So I think that we're getting a directive from the board dais tonight to fix this thing. and to start winning.
Yes, sir.
Like Nuke Lelouch said in Bull Durham, I love winning. It's like so much better than losing.
Just one more comment in regards to the numbers once again. Looking at Bolter in particular, and I say that because it's within my district and I do visit that campus, I know that it's not all the coaches in that aspect. I know that there's a discipline problem that's been there for years and it continues to exist. But with the change in guards, so to speak, I'm expecting that to change considerably. But part of the problem with the discipline is that it takes more than one person or one environment to actually make that difference. And I think that a number of the parents have not been very supportive with the discipline that's being implemented in regards to their children. I think that they should reconsider that. I think that that's probably the reason that the coaches are having a difficult problem with the dropout numbers is simply because the kids don't like discipline. So therefore they drop out. Because sports tend to be very disciplined. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that we need to be aware of, and I don't want to make it seem like the coaches are the only ones that's applying the discipline. I think it has begun to change on the campus overall. But I know for a fact that that is part of the problem with the athletes.
Yes, please. Well, I mean, I know that is a main goal for us is make sure that we're getting those numbers. We keep preaching to get those coaches down there. The other part is coaching our coaches. Our high school coaches have to coach our coaches and make sure that they are competent in what they are doing. So it's getting down and making sure that they are doing the things that they need to, bringing those, if it's football, making sure that those coaches are coming to spring ball. And then as we get into the summer of having clinics with those coaches and making sure that they understand the schemes, everything that they are expected to do. And then we hold those coaches accountable and we are getting down there as well.
All right. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Plenty, but we'll be here forever.
Well, thank you for your update, and there are bright spots.
There are bright spots. And then, hopefully we'll see everybody out at some games this spring, and we have some exciting updates this summer. So looking forward to the exciting year. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next we have Visual and Performing Arts update.
Lainey O'Connell has not completed her first year. She's only been in the role for about 6 months. So we're going to turn it over to the Director of Visual and Performing Arts. After that athletics presentation, there will be brevity awarded, or there will be points awarded to your brevity providing this, okay, Ms. O'Connell?
Noted. Thank you very much.
Let you have a long end of year, and we'll let Greg have a short end of year.
Okay. I will try to keep it as concise as possible. Sorry. This is my first time doing this. Thank you very much, and please be kind. Hopefully show a little grace, a little bit. That'd be great. Anyway, President Washman and trustees and Dr. Crawford, of course. This is our mid-year update on the visual and performing arts. This is just a few highlights of some of the achievements that we have, our students and our faculty and our communities have had over the course of the fall semester. First and foremost, our middle school band achievements. Moore Middle School Band had 12 students earn places in the all-region band. In fact, all of our schools had students place in the all-region band, which is a great accolade. 23 students from 3 Lakes earned a chair in the Tyler ISD All-City Band, and then 17 students earned a chair in the Region 21 Middle School Band with 3 first chairs. Hubbard had 5 students make Region 21 Middle School All-Region Band. 9 students made the Tyler Middle School All-City Band, with 4 of them being first chair in their section. And then Bolter had 11 students in the middle school All-City Band, and then 3 students in the All-Region Band. And there is some room for improvement there. I see within some of those numbers, and I heard some of the comments that you made earlier, and I'm going to be addressing hopefully some of those things as as it applies to the visual and performing arts. Next, we have our high school band, and I think we can all say we're really proud of our high school bands here in Tyler. We see them all over the place, and we could be here all night just talking about all of the things that they do, but here are just a few of the things that they have of their successes. So Tyler Legacy High School in Region 21 all-region band auditions had 37 area qualifiers, 42 high school all-region band, 20 freshman all-region band. And then we had an all-state qualifier on tuba, Mario Riviera, who actually made it to state, and he played with the all-state band at the TMEA concert that was just a couple of weeks ago. And we were really proud of that and the work that Sam Labortis is doing over there with his group. Tyler High School, all-region jazz. We had one student qualify for area and made that all-region jazz band. All-region band, 5 high school and a freshman all-region band. And then solo and ensemble, we had 7 students receive first division recognitions and advance to state from Tyler High School. And then 22 students received first division recognition. So that's also some really great news coming out of Tyler High School. Larry Wade does a really amazing job with his program. And just speaking a little bit about kind of the work that they are doing, they are on their campuses every single week. I know that Tyler Legacy is there every single day, either the head band, he's either there every day, he's there at least 3 days a week, but his assistants are there every single day. Same with Larry Wade. He is on his feeder pattern at least 2 to 3 times a week, and then he also makes it down there at least his assistants make it not quite as often as every day, but they do make it at least 2 or as well. And we are working on trying to build that bridge between our middle and high schools right now so that we can start doing those visits to our elementary schools, because really that's kind of what we're looking at, and kind of what we identified as I came on, is that really building that feeder pattern. And I look at it like it's a whole cradle to grave kind of thing. So we look at it from K all the way through 12 in all of our visual and performing arts. So you're going to see a lot of that intentionality as we go through all of our programs. It's just being really intentional about building those relationships with those teachers and students, and making sure that they know that they have a home in the visual and performing arts as they move up the ladder to their next step. The next thing we have is high school dance and drill team achievements. We had 2, which I think it was pretty fun, that both the Brigadette captain, Leslie Bernal, and the Legacy High School Bells captain, Ella Byers, they both performed at the TDEA in the all-state dance team. So we had 2 members, both the captains for our drill teams, perform at the state level. And then we had Tyler Legacy Bells place 5th out of 60th at the Crowd Pleaser State Championship at Lebanon Trail High School. And that was just recently as well. Orchestra. This is really great news out of the middle school orchestra. We have had 100% of the Hubbard Orchestra students won a chair at all region orchestra. We had 85% of the 3 Legs students win a chair in all region orchestra, which is amazing. Sam, our other Sam, Pasquale, is doing an amazing job with, he is the director at both of those campuses, and he's doing an amazing job with them. Then we have Dulcinea Cause from Tyler Legacy High School. She advanced from all region orchestra to the state level auditions. And then Tyler High School is hosting, they hosted the Region 21 and for all region orchestra contests, and they will also be hosting the next level of UIL competitions coming up in late March. In choir and music, we always have a lot of great things going on in choir and music, especially at the elementary levels. We just had, I believe it was our 10th year with Link Up. This year, all of the elementaries participated, all of our 4th and 5th grade elementary music students went to Tyler High School to collaborate, whatever you want to call it, with the East Texas Symphony Orchestra on February 14th and 15th. I don't know if any of you were able to make it out there, but it sure was an amazing time, and it was a lot of fun watching them play and have that experience. We're really lucky and fortunate to have that here in Tyler. Another, the Elementary Honor Choir. This year, I think, was the first year in a long time where we have a representative from every single elementary is represented in the honors choir, which is really great news, and we've been able to maintain those numbers as well.
Is that the district choir?
That's the district choir. That's the honor choir.
Are we singing like modern and contemporary songs now?
Well, sir,
are we working on that?
I have mentioned that to them, and
Okay.
and I've mentioned it. I got a little pushback. We can talk about that
Okay.
later.
When I was in fifth grade, we sang "What Shall We Do with a Drunken Sailor?"
That may or may not be on our in our repertoire this year, but
modern and contemporary. It's from the 1800s, probably. Sorry to throw you a curveball there.
No, please.
That's the feedback I've received from parents.
I think what it is, and honestly, this is a battle that we are having with UIL, and this is a battle that I have with UIL across the board, is that because there are expectations from UIL that this is what UIL looks like, and it's not a very modern look at the world. It's
Sprinkle in some stuff.
It's a little
Oh, they're
archaic.
trying to have fun.
I agree, and I actually brought this up. You'll
Okay.
be very happy to know I brought this up at the administrator meeting that we need to update our
But locally,
music selection.
some of the things I'm hearing from our honor choir kiddos and their parents,
Mm-hmm.
and that's who we're worried about, not trying
No,
to
I
impress
agree.
the
I agree. We
bureaucrats
need
at
to
UIL or
make sure that
whoever.
we're-
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir. Noted. I'll push back a little bit harder. Let me see, where are we? Hubbard had 3 students make the TMEA All-Region Choir. Boulder had 5 All-Region Choir winners. In fact, the middle schools did a really good job. They had a great showing at our the middle school All-Region Choir. Tyler Legacy High School had 11 first division gold medalists in UIL solo and ensemble. And let's see, with the 6A UIL region celebrations, we had 15 students make honor choir, 2 students make all region choir and advance to pre-area, and 1 student advance to area auditions. So there's still room for improvement. I'd like to see our numbers. I'd like to see some of those kids, they're very talented, make it to state next year, and we're doing what we can to support them so that we can ensure our numbers go higher in those areas. I'm going to pause for just a giggle or two here next. Also, I do want to point out that a lot of our music programs on the elementary level, they are doing all of the programs. They are doing the Veterans Day programs. They are doing the Christmas programs. They are doing Hispanic Heritage Month. They are making sure that our kids are represented all the time and that their parents have opportunities. I was at Griffin Elementary at the one of the celebrations, and they literally had to rotate out the parents because so many community members had come out to see their kids and to support them. So I'm really, really excited about the work that our elementary school teachers are doing, and I just think that they need that recognition. And I think I'm backwards. Theater. I just put a few things on here because honestly, we're always doing something. A lot of our middle schools and high schools are always actively busy, usually having a show in the fall and UIL in the spring. We recently had our middle school UIL performances, and we had Moore Magnet came in first place this year. In fact, they had something that it never happens. It never, ever happens. Every single one of their students was recognized with an individual award, including their they had a chorus of performers, and they won an all-star cast award, like as one award. So it was a really amazing show. Second place was Caldwell Arts Academy, and third place was Hubbard Middle School. I will say Bolter competed for the very first time in 4 years. They haven't had a theater program, and in the fall, that kind of hurt my heart. And so we started, with the help of Young Audiences, a after-school program on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then in December, Cindy Stokes, one of the high school directors, agreed to go over there and to start working on UIL One Act Play. And then when she couldn't do it because we lost one of our UIL performers, a counselor stepped in and he finished that play with them. And we had 3 individuals win individual awards. So we had an all-star cast and 2 honorable mention all-star cast winners from that Bolter team. And so it was so exciting to start with absolutely nothing. And next year, we have offered it on the choice sheets, and we're hoping that we can at least have 2 or 3 sections of theater at Bolter for next year.
Absolutely. I know some of those Bolter kids.
Yeah,
They are theatrical.
They are hungry for some theater. That is true. That is absolutely true.
Coached them and given them rides. They'd be perfect.
So that's some exciting news on that front. I just had to kind of give a shout out to that. I was really excited about that program. And also, I do want to recognize Legacy High School for their show Hairspray, because they were recognized by the Broadway Dallas High School Musical Theater Awards. They got an outstanding score, and they recognized the director, Cindy Stokes, and Kiara Hawkins, who is actually the director over at Hubbard, who helped, was the assistant director for Hairspray, and also some of the Hubbard kids came up to Legacy to perform in that show. So there was a collaboration between the middle school and high school on that. And all of the cast and crew received some sort of shout out from them as outstanding or improving.
Hey,
So-
it was top shelf.
And it was a great show,
Yep, they did a great job.
It was a lot of fun.
Pretty good. Mr. Jones, you concur? Okay.
Because we can't stop the beat. All right, so art. We've had a lot of things in the community with art. Our big things for art as far as VASE, Junior VASE, and teams, those are all coming up. In fact, VASE is this weekend at Three Lakes Middle School, and then we will have teams and Junior VASE will be on April 1st at Moore Magnet. But some of the things that we have done as far as just events in the district, we collaborated with Tyler Museum of Art for Dia de los Muertos. Again, that is an ongoing community activity that we do with the arts. We had multicultural arts exhibit at Moore Magnet, where all of these schools from around Tyler were asked to contribute artwork to their show there. We had the Martin Luther King Jr. event at the Tyler Library, where we had many of our students were recognized for outstanding work. Of course, our Christmas card. And then the Tyler High School Artsmas, which is again a feeder pattern art show that they have at Tyler High School for the holidays. And Tyler Legacy Cheer, yay, go cheerleaders. I was there. Were recognized at state. Yes, they fall under the VPA umbrella, in case you're like, why are they on the VPAs? Because they're now falling under the...
Performing.
It is performing, and they did an amazing job, and they did make it to the state finals in Fort Worth back in January. I think they came in... out of all of them, I think they came in 22nd, but there were hundreds of teams there, and they did an amazing job. Just to get to those state finals, there were 60 in the state finals, and so they did an amazing job and really represented us well there. So, and we hope to get Tyler High School there. They've been in this program before, and so we're really like shoring up their program so that next year we can have everybody represented at the UI Spirit competition. Some quick things about curriculum. We have started being very intentional about writing curriculum for our middle and high school so that we can really build in that embedded like feeder pattern. So some things that we are working on right now are middle school theater 1, high school theater 1, high school theater 2, and technical theater, middle school dance, and high school dance. So we already have the scope and sequence. It's already gotten through our phase 1 Scope and sequence are done, unit plans are done, our TEKS and national standards alignment, those are all complete. We are now in phase 2 with those. We're working on differentiated instruction strategies, daily structure and guided instruction, pedagogies, links and resources. We're hoping to get those done before or right at spring break, but the way it's kind of going, our resources are probably going to stretch out probably till about April 1st. And our teachers are working on those resources and links to make it so that we can be really intentional about how we're working on those, so that we can support our teachers and that we're all speaking the same language. Phase 3, revision, embedded resources, final edits, team and teacher leads are going to help us with that. That's going to be ongoing as we go through every single part of this curriculum. We are going to check it with a fine-tooth comb. And we are also making it for every single day because we know that we have a lot of teachers who are alt-cert, who may not have gone through the program, so that we want to make sure that they are supported in the classroom and can do the very best job and really build on doing what they do well and not have to worry about that underlying structure. The structure is there so that they can really teach and build those relationships with our students. And then phase 4 finally is going to be the professional development and the implementation. Our first professional development is at our end of year PD. We will have some summer professional development as well. And then when we come back, we will be rolling it out. It'll be 100% in all of our middle and high schools. And that's what they will be expected to follow.
Considering band and what else?
Okay, so yes, so this is middle school, but we are also considering like band, from middle school, high school, jazz band, orchestra, and choir. Yeah. And we want to be as intentional with that as we are being with this.
What I like about it is, a lot of curriculum talk there for y'all, is it does ensure system-wide cohesiveness and alignment, both horizontally, like across our campuses, and then vertically as well. I mean, we love artistic people, but we need to make sure that all of our kids are getting exposed to the good stuff, whether they're at Campus A or Campus Z.
Exactly.
And we've found that that's not been the case, and we want to make sure that that's happening. So appreciate y'all. It's a lot of work. Curriculum's a lot of work. So appreciate you doing it.
I find it's fun. I think it's fun when we're all kind of on the same page and I don't know. It's fun. Yay curriculum. Okay. Community collaborations. These are just some of the things that we did in the fall, and some of the things that are coming up. Of course, the Rose Parade, the Rotary Club Christmas Parade, the Dia de los Muertos with the Tyler Museum of Art, link up, of course, with the East Texas Symphony Orchestra and Carnegie Hall, the MLK Junior Parade and Art Exhibit, and then, of course, in the summer, we'll have the Juneteenth Parade, and there will be other opportunities, I hope, with our upcoming events to do some more collaborations.
Well, I appreciate the can-do spirit from our bands in the fall. It's a very busy time of year with marching contest and then the Rose Parade. And then you start talking about MLK Day when we're not even in school. So that's that does take a lot. And so kudos to not only the kids, but kids are going to be resilient. They've got tons of energy. But the adults in the equation, the band directors for having the right attitude and the right spirit about that, and the parents that assist them, the parent crew. It takes a lot to get up there after a Friday night football game and then get up to the Rose Parade and then get over to marching contest. That all happens in the same
That happened this year.
span,
That
same
happened
36
this year.
hours
Yeah.
this year. So really appreciate that.
And what I love about them, and I'm going to brag on both Sam and Larry just for a second, it's like they have never said no. I'm like, hey, friend, by the way, Caldwell needs the drum line this Thursday night. And they're like, okay. And they're there. We need cheerleaders in the drum line to welcome our new teachers as they're entering their first day as a member of our community. So, and they're there and they're always supportive, and they, but they never say no.
Hey, it's hard whenever you ask cheerleaders to buy a $1,000 uniform and they only do it 4 times during football season at a middle school football game or something. So I appreciate the cheers showing up to all the basketball games that they've shown up to this year. And
And we're
And,
going to be a
doing the
little
other
bit more
things as well.
intentional about how we use the cheerleaders at the basketball games. And we're looking at doing different tiers, like doing
Doing a good job all
Team
the way
A, Team B,
around of
TC, just so that we can spread
Getting
the
our
love.
kids in the community, top to bottom.
It's important. That's one of my passions, is to make sure that our community is, that we support our community, because you always use the front porch analogy, and I always use the living room analogy. It's like the fine arts are your living room. It's the living room with the good furniture. And so we want to make sure that we are showing everybody our best side, and that it's welcoming for them and that they want to come in. And that is it. That is my update.
Y'all got any questions?
Any questions?
From Ms.
Sounds
O'Connell?
like some exciting things going on in fine arts.
Great, there are.
Visual arts are looking great. Performing arts, they deserve an Oscar. And I can say the fine arts are just fine.
Well,
They're
thank you.
fine
We're
arts.
going to try to keep it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you so much. Okay, we've got business, legal, finance, consent agenda. I will say we will pull item C, because we always do. It's very important. So we will pull gifts and donations. I will entertain a motion on the rest of the items, A through F, with the exception of C.
I move we approve items A, B, D, E, F.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it, and the motion carries. Now let's talk a little bit about gifts and donations.
Well, first and foremost, we've got a really big check that someone's here tonight to. Did you bring a big check with you, Megan? Hold on, wait, just wait. I want to say before Megan comes up here, RW Fair Foundation has been a partner with us from day one, I believe, with our TISD basketball league. Is that correct, Coach Gillespie? The Fair Foundation? Yeah. So really appreciative of that. Well, tonight we got $15,000 that's provided in our, as far as our gifts and donations for the Tyler ISD Youth League here tonight. So that's a pretty big chunk right there to fund, to keep the costs low for our parents and our kids to have something to do on Saturdays. For how long, Coach Gillespie? 8 weeks. It's pretty neat. If you go to any one of our facilities, either at Legacy or at Moore, what else are you using? Tyler High, and see our facilities. First of all, our community providing the facilities for us, and then seeing our kids and their parents, community volunteers coaching them, refereeing the basketball games, et cetera, and that being done at a very low minimal cost. And we couldn't do it without the RW Fair Foundation, so thanks for that. We also have, that was for $15,000. We also have $34,500 Cooperative Teachers Credit Union. Every time we go to a Tyler ISD event, whether it be convocation, whether it be our Teacher of the Year banquet, whether it be a board meeting, or anytime we need something, CTCU is always there. So much so that we kind of have a running joke with them of, imagine seeing y'all here. But we really do appreciate their partnership. And Megan Riley with CTCU, Cooperative Teachers Credit Union, has a big check to present to the board. We would like to invite y'all down to below the dais to take a picture, please.
Great.
Oh, no, that's not it.
Okay, we do not want to move on without entertaining a motion to accept the gifts and donations.
we accept the gifts and donations.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. And thank you once again so much for all the help that we get from all of our community partners. It is a special, special place that we live in, and we are grateful. Okay, we'll move on to, we have a memorandum of understanding with TJC and for Early College High School.
This is our annual higher ed partnership as we gear up for next school year. TJC, so appreciative of everything that they provide for us and for our kiddos and the high quality education that comes out of there. You know, there's a lot of folks that say that, you know, TJC might be the 13th and 14th year of high school, but I've got to disagree with that. My own kids got 3 diplomas from there, degrees from there, and went on to UT Tyler and grabbed her 3 more from there. So we offer great higher ed opportunities here in Tyler, Texas, and Smith County, and we're very proud to partner with TJC.
I echo those sentiments. Entertain a motion on that item.
I move that we approve the.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, and the motion carries. Great partnership with Tyler Junior College. Okay, we have a legislative update. I know that this is a legislative year. We'll be in session, and there's a lot going on with public ed, specifically, potentially, in this legislative session. So, Dr. Crawford, would you like to school us a little bit on what might be coming down the pike or what's going on?
I'll kick it off, and then y'all can talk more about this, what you feel like. But, you know, Tyler IC is a part of the Texas School Alliance. Texas School Alliance has, on average, about 60% economically disadvantaged. Of the 5.2 million school children in the state of Texas, about 40% are represented within the districts that are in as part of the Texas School Alliance. We solely focus on, the Texas School Alliance solely focuses on policy, obviously, school finance, and then the accountability system, along with the assessment as well. It is a pretty diverse group of districts that are members there. And while every unique community, as exemplified by our titles, independent school districts, have their own belief systems in place, these are really what's in the best policy and the best educational policy that we can advocate for over. So that, along with the Texas Association of School Administrators, develop legislative positions that I'm associated with. Some of y'all may be familiar with Texas Association of School Boards, but I'm going to focus from TASA and TSA. I'm not going to delve into the TASB legislative positions. And I'm just going to go over a few of the things that I've just highlighted. I'm not going to go over every one of them. Obviously, education funding, advocate for an adequate and equitable school finance system that raises per pupil funding to the national average. I think we rate 30th or 40th overall, and I think we're 30th in performance as far as the state of Texas goes. That's pretty good return on investment. If you're 40th in funding and you're getting 30th, I mean, it's not great. We want to be number 1, but at the same time, that is something that's out there. One thing that's kind of risen to our level and of interest is actually the use of enrollment versus attendance as the standard for school funding. We all know that average daily attendance, Tasha can speak to this, Ms. Bjork, our CFO can, about how attendance impacts going to school. That is something that we've kind of learned from the pandemic. Parents are a little different now. Kids are a little different now in regards to sending their kids to school on a daily basis. And that is something we're going to have to contend with as well. We're asking the legislature to consider enrollment versus attendance. I know there's been some detractors out there that said, well, then it won't incentivize the school systems to get the kids to school. I've got to say that's bunk. The kids would call it, that's a bunch of cap, right? There's no way that is what would happen, because accountability at the end, we've got to get kids to school so we can teach them. So it's not about funding, it's about instruction, it's about teaching and learning. So being able to do that as opposed to the way we've been doing it for these so many years is something that's certainly something up there as well. Another thing that's kind of risen to the front is school safety. As far as the allotment goes right now, I think y'all are all familiar with how much money is being provided for school safety allotment. It's $9.37 per kid. They started out at $100 per kid in the last legislative session, and they got it down to $9.99, a discount of $9.99. So we're asking for $100 per enrolled student for making our building safer, or to do what we've done, actually replenish what we're spending as far as our law enforcement agency that we employ here, to where we've got enough police officers hired now, on staff now, to actually put one in every campus. Still have a few vacancies left for all of our spots that we have. We're very proud of that. And then $100 per enrolled student for school-based mental health supports. Obviously, that would be something upwards of $36 million for Tyler ISD if they were to fund both of those, having 18,000 students plus. So somewhere in the middle, somewhere of a compromise with all this focus on school safety and making it important, actually measuring it now with all of our door checks, along with our emergency operations plan, audits that go on through the Texas School Safety Center is something that's extremely important as well. Obviously, with charter schools, we have not spent a whole lot of time up here in regard to that, but the urban areas are being hit pretty hard with that. But I did highlight this. When you start talking about charters, or you start talking about the V word, start talking about vouchers. What does that accountability look like, and what are the transparency laws look like in regard to having public meetings like we're having here, to where we're discussing what the school system is doing with those taxpayer-funded dollars, and educating our school, reporting on our academic outcomes or our academic challenges. Is that being done in other educational institutions when you start talking about diverting dollars away from public ed as well? Transparent governance is a highlight of that. Another thing we wanted to highlight was the teacher retirement system of Texas, continuation of the current defined benefit pension program for TRS members. We're struggling right now. We're in the middle of what they've called the Great Resignation, to where you've got more vacancies than what you've got folks that are coming out of teacher education programs. We're having to hire a lot of alt-cert or District of Innovation certified folks. Well, why would you de-incentivize one of the better things in the teacher retirement system of Texas, a pension that you can use to attract folks to the profession? I think you'd see more folks there. I don't think there's a lot of legs in that, but that's something we want to protect for our future teachers. I think the ones that are already in it, like myself and everyone in this room, that's not going away, but we certainly want to make sure it's even more attractive to recruit some of those. Another thing for retirees, also looking at a cost of living adjustment is something that's important out there for retirees. Those of y'all that might be considering that, they haven't had one of those in quite some time. Along with the TRS Active Care, that once you retire, the quality of health care as you get older is maintained. I'm sure Dr. Nation, you can probably speak to that. Ms. Atkins can speak to that as well. Want to make sure we maintain that for our retirees. And then obviously the teacher shortage, we've talked about some of that. How can you incentivize some of that? Well, obviously keeping TRS the way it is, adding to the basic allotment as far as being able to provide adequate teacher compensation packages for those that want to enter their profession. But what else is being said out there? For veterans, and God love them, they gave up a lot. They gave a lot to defend our country. They do get some homestead relief above and beyond. There's some talk out there, maybe teachers could be incentivized as well, instead of the basic homestead exemption that maybe we all receive. Those that are actually in a classroom, I'm not talking about a wily superintendent like myself, but those in the classroom, could they receive above and beyond some type of additional homestead exemption on property that they own? Those are some creative type of things that are out there that might be thrown out there as well. Texas School Alliance, their big 5 rocks are: make investments that reflect the true cost of educating students. Y'all know since we last did anything, we've had some wage pressures. we've had inflation that have hit us. And so you're looking at a 12% cost since the legislature, or increase since the legislature last raised the basic allotment. The governor in the state of the state address talked about they're spending more money on public education than they ever had. But that was all due as a result of House Bill 3 in 2019. We know what has happened since then. So yes, we are spending that amount, but what are our teachers really having to pay for, our custodians having to pay for, our teacher aides, our food service workers when they go home at night? You know, a gallon of milk costs a little bit more now than it did in 2019, unless you get it for Brahms. They have great deals sometimes. Provide the resources and flexibility for school districts to improve student safety. We've already touched on that a little bit. Strengthen efforts to recruit and retain qualified educators. What innovative, creative practices can we do to do that? I was having a conversation with a legislator this morning talking about retired teachers. Now, Mr. Jones and I both have the same opinion that how many retired teachers really want to come out of retirement and start working again? You retire for a reason, but just in case they had the heart to do it, and they want to do it, and they want to maybe come out and do that. Could there be like a retired teacher allotment to where you had so many teacher slots per school system to where you wouldn't be penalized for going back and hiring them? So there needs to be some creativity in regard to the teacher shortages that we're all experiencing right now, a whole lot worse than other places in Tyler than what we're going through. Reform state accountability standard to better measure success. We've set up here on the dais quite a bit over the last, 4 or 5 months, as led by Dr. Cureton, our expert data and assessment and accountability guy. Appreciative of all of his work. We know that this next reset of the accountability system, while we may understand it barely from the board dais, he's going to understand it expertly. Does the A through F system really equate to what we've been doing? We're going to go from having an 88, a pretty high ranking B, that close to an A, to who knows what. We kind of know what that's going to look like whenever we go to the new accountability system. But what does that really mean? And is it fair? I think we said 60% of our CCMR data at the high schools are going to be based on kids that no longer go to Tyler ISD.
Yes, there's based on last year, those kids are gone, and they're going to reset that from 60 to 88.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're going to count against us, but we can't go back and get them to help us. Ensure public dollars only fund accountable, transparent public schools. And I think that probably gets us to what y'all wanted to talk about tonight, or maybe a couple of you had comments on, and that is vouchers. So open the dais up for that conversation.
Okay, I know Mr. Newsom wanted to talk a little bit about vouchers tonight, so you go ahead and we'll follow and comment, discuss.
Well, I'll try to be brief in regards to this. It is a subject that I think the public need to definitely be aware of in regards to how it's going to affect public education in regards to funding in particular. We struggle now with having increased funds for our teachers' salaries, having things accessible for our students. And we are held accountable to high standards in public education, considerably higher standards, all the excess testing, et cetera, as opposed to some of the other entities that will possibly get funding under the voucher system. I think it is somewhat unfair to public education in regards to the standards that they set up for public education versus the other entities that receive also the same type of funding. I think that is something that our legislators should be very much aware of, and they should be very concerned about in regards to how they hold those other entities accountable compared to public education. I think that in itself is something that's worth fighting for in regards to public education. We struggle, a lot of the districts struggle with funding now. Talking about teacher shortage, et cetera, having the funds to actually adequately pay our teachers for the work that they do within the classroom in public education has been a challenge. And I think that the voucher system will definitely make that much more detrimental for the public education system. I would like to see, and when we talk about supporting public education, we've done it here very successfully in Smith County in particular. We've been, in Tyler in particular, we've been able to get a number of bonds passed from my perspective, this is just as important or even more so because it is a larger area that we're talking about the entire state as opposed to one particular entity within the state. I would like to see those same group of people that were very supportive of us in regards to bond issues that have influence within the county and even at the state level in some situations, being very supportive of this particular issue, supporting public education to the point that they're willing to stand up and say that and talk to our legislators regarding that, because it is a very important issue when we talk about public education. And I would like to see if some entities in the city was interested in supporting public education and talking to our legislators. I'd like to see an organized effort locally to do that.
Good deal. Any other comments on the voucher issue in particular?
You know, we've seen what some bills look like that are out there right now, and it's still pretty early in the session. I do think by next week you're going to start seeing committee hearings kind of crank up down in Austin, and so you'll start kind of getting a better feel about what that would look like. But you know, one concern I do have is we keep talking about how making these very generalized commentaries about how all school systems are doing this.
Yeah.
And while we always have challenges here in Tyler, I think we're pretty responsive to our community whenever we do have some things that need to be adjusted. This time last year, talking about library books, yeah, that was not a good thing, but we reacted swiftly and did the right thing. I think we certainly said that we recognized that there was an issue and there was a problem. And I think that's what you can ask for out of school systems that want to do the right thing, as opposed to maybe some of those that are a little bit more non-amenable to doing the right thing. So saying that that's a penalty because some school systems are doing X, Y, and Z are something I just don't think is, I'm not going to use the word fair because politics is never fair, but it's dirty. And I think that you've got to take a hard look at that whenever you're starting to talk about why you're wanting to instill vouchers. Okay, let's really have that type of conversation that talks about which school systems are being responsive, and if they're not being responsive, then that's the ones that need to be dealt with, not a whole general one. If that's the reason why you're doing this, we do appreciate all of our taxpayers and what they do provide our school systems. There's no doubt about it, and we respect them and we honor what they want in their schools as well. I know we do in Tyler, Texas. So you know, for us to be grouped into that large conversation is a little bit disheartening as well. The other thing I'll talk about is, let's say that something does go into policy and becomes law in Texas, and you do have a reduction in funding. You know, there's not a whole lot of differences in 20 kids in a class and 18 kids in a class. Okay, so if we're going to lose 2 kids, okay, lose anywhere from 2 to 4 kids, more than likely we're going to try to stay as tightly staffed as we always have, right, Ms. Bjork? Do a pretty good job of that. And so if you were to lose that type of enrollment, let's just say 10% of your enrollment, then obviously you'd be able to handle some of that through attrition, but you can't just say overnight that I can reduce a teacher or 2 because I've lost a couple of kids going to either private schools or choosing to go to home schools. And so I think that's something that you're going to have to contend with as well, in regard to trying to make sure that is the right thing to do. You're going to wind up seeing public funding, maybe not right now while we have a large surplus. You're going to look at public school funding is going to get pretty tight down the road if things, you know, if we blow through the reserves that we have and the one-time expenditures that we have just to fund this, what's a pretty big program, in my opinion. So those are some things that I think that really need to be taken a look at. The reasons that we're doing this, and then if it does come into action, what are the expectations? Here's the reduction in funding. We're trying to pay teachers better. We're also trying to make sure we keep our class sizes at the right size so we can teach kids. And we're trying to make sure that we attract teachers into the profession, and we're just taking hit after hit after hit.
You know, it's interesting, the catalyst behind this, we hear a lot from a national perspective on failing public schools. And I would ask those same people, you know, why we hear so much about that and not charter or private. And so we go to, well, public's measured, and the measurements say this. What is not measured by the state? Are private schools measured on accountability by the state?
No.
No, they're not. Okay, so you're never going to hear about a failing private school in general. Okay, so if you start handing out vouchers and following the student, because the national narrative is one thing, and we have to be careful about, you know, we really, really need leaders who are looking after their communities, okay? And Tyler, Texas has done pretty dang good. Hundreds of millions of dollars in bonds passed in overwhelming numbers by our community. That is important, okay? They have given us facilities to have a robust public school system here. So I'm wondering, like, if we do start funding individuals, how do you oversee how that money, how effective that money is? And will all those schools, where they're going, if it's public or, I mean, if it's private or charter, are they going to be held to the same standard? And I would say they need to be, okay? If we're going to allocate money as a state and pretend that it's very, very important to oversee that money, and that is the conservative thing to do. I mean, and a lot of my fellow conservatives are saying this, okay? But if we're going to measure it one place, we have to measure it in the other place.
Amen.
So how do we follow that money to ensure it's spent, you know, in a wise way? And then if you do have this shift, you know, and our community has just blessed us with all these facilities that the public has paid for, you know, what if certain facilities are not as full? Okay, so now we're paying for X amount of thousands of square feet that aren't being used. And then you have to start maybe building facilities elsewhere, okay? If kids are maybe going to another place, well, who's paying for that? You know, that's more money being spent on more facilities housing the same amount of students. We have had a system that has been set up and supported for decades here. And you're talking about a major shift. So we really need to think, and we really need to be careful about what we just go along with because the narrative says this. We need our local leaders, our local reps to talk with us and really get into, like, well, hey, how's Tyler doing? And if this thing's going to kneecap your local school system, you got to think about it. And you got to think about standing up as a leader and looking after your people. A lot of my conservative friends talk about how we do not like government overreach. We do not like government getting their hands in things. Well, my private school people, if the state government is giving you money and accepting your money, you be prepared, okay? Because it will, all you gotta do is follow the money, okay? And the government eventually will measure what you're doing, and it might be something that is counter narrative for a lot of what conservatives tend to think.
And they should measure it.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, I've got a lot of thoughts on this, but mainly it's just looking after Tyler, Texas, you know, and that's all I care about. That's all I care about is Tyler, Texas, because that's what I'm here to do. And we can't broad brush policy at the expense of the places that are really doing well. And I think we're one of them, and we've seen slow, steady growth. And so, I don't know. I'm hearing from people that there might be a lot of consensus on this, and I'm just really, really leery of how this could impact public schools, because you might have high-performing students from families who care enough to move their kids, so you're going to cull off some of the top students, potentially, maybe, I don't know. And then you're going to have some people that may be on the other end of the spectrum that just say, hey, there's some money for me.
Thank you.
I might take that. I might take that money and I'll homeschool my kid. And how are we to ensure that our most at-risk kids are actually getting educated? And all I'm going to say is we're set up for it, and we're doing a good job. So I'm a hard pass on that.
Yeah, no matter what happens, we'll compete. I don't want to sound like we're up here like we're a bunch of whiners. Whatever's handed to us, we're going to compete. We'll figure it out. We'll adapt and adjust and be agile. You know, one thing they always talk about is the researches and data. It says that you can find a researcher just like you can a star witness, Counselor Hardy, to say the things that you need them to say, to come up with the research or the data that you need to say. So I don't know if it's been proven effective or not. I've seen studies that say it's been effective. I've seen studies that says it has not been effective. So that'll be something that's interesting. I also have a little bit of concern that we're talking about sine dies, it's at the end of May. How transparent are we being about this? What's it going to look like? You know, a lot of school systems, when we get up to the dais, we've got to be transparent about what we're doing. We have to listen to VPA and athletic updates like we did tonight to make sure we're transparent about the good and the bad. We're not hearing a lot right there. What's that going to look like so that we can prepare if it does come into effect on September 1, what that actually looks like? And you said the right thing. The Texas Constitution says there needs to be a provision for quality public education. Where does this fit inside of that? To making sure that we have a constituency, a citizenry that is well educated and it's fair. I've always said this because I've been a superintendent now in my 15th school year. I've always said this: show me a voucher system that'll pay for a kid that goes to the Spruce feeder pattern in Dallas that allows them automatic admission to Dallas Jesuit. And it pays for them to get from Dallas Spruce to the front door of Dallas Jesuit, to go through that 8-hour day, and then to get back to Dallas, to where they live in Pleasant Grove. Show me that system, and then you may have me. You may. I'm not saying that you'll ever have me. But it can't be this piddly cost of education to get into the privates. How's that going to help a kid that comes from the most dire of straits?
Just one additional comment, and I'll be quiet. I think in regards to the homeschools, is there any accountability currently at the state level for homeschooling of children?
You know, they've been pretty libertarian with the homeschool population. You choose to homeschool your child, that is your choice, and it is up to the parents to educate their child with what they see fit.
Is there any testing?
Not to my knowledge. Obviously, if you're going to send your kid to college, there's obviously college entrance exams, although those are starting to kind of go by the wayside as well. To actually participate in a UIL activity, there are some measurements that have to be, standards have to be met for you to be able to participate. But to my knowledge, for you to be a homeschool graduate, I think it's left up to the parent to find a curriculum that is accredited so that they can be called a high school graduate.
And I have a lot of friends in homeschool, and that's great. You know, it's when you inject public dollars and how you measure that, you know, and if that's what you want for your kid, then by all means do it. It's free society. But as soon as you inject public ed dollars, then you got to start following them. That's just the right thing to do.
We're hoping that will happen.
Yeah.
But it's no guarantee that that's going to happen. So entities out there that have concerns about the use of tax funds for public education should very much be concerned about the tax funds being used for charter and homeschooling in particular, because there is not very much accountability for that funds that go into those entities. You know, I have no problem with those entities existing. I have a problem with the accountability system, with taxing funds that they get, and there's no accountability. Yet again, we're held to such high standards. It's no comparison.
And just to clarify, there are rules in place, and I remember this from a couple of our schools. If a school is actually failing, parents have the opportunity to move the kid out of that failing school, correct, in Texas?
Yeah, Texas does have a system, the old public education grant, the PEG school, that's been around a long time.
Right.
And it varies on how it looks from time to time in regard to that. Obviously, with the 1882, they start talking about not private, but charter school system relationships to redesign the school. There's been a lot of law that's been afforded to us over time as far as choice, not only just district choice like we have here in Tyler ISD, through the transfer portal that we have here in Tyler ISD, to if you do have a school that's 1, 2, 3, or 4 years low performing, depending upon what legislative session we just had, what rules are coming out of there. There's not a set certain thing every time that's been maintained over the last 30 years. There's a lot of things that look like that, and there are opportunities for you to transfer out of a failing school. It looks different from session to
May I
session.
interject something?
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all have said basically some of the same things that I'm thinking, but it occurs to me that there needs to be a more visible way to compare the academic performance of students in public schools to students in charter and private schools, because I think people are misinformed into believing that if they go to a private school or a charter school, they're going to perform at a higher level. And that's just not true. And especially here in Tyler. I mean, in Tyler, what numbers, what data we do have has shown our students outperforming. So I'll just throw that out there. I mean, it's just not a fair comparison with the performance of the kids.
Yeah, AP test, correct me if I'm wrong, on the last round, we were 16 out of 22, 23. I believe Mr. Brown's not here tonight. He could have told you. 16 out of 23 versus our public, private, and charter peers in regard to AP scoring 3 or above, which that's the standard for being able to take a the credit with you to your college. So absolutely, I do like that about our accountability system. We can grab that data because it's through the College Board, right? So there is some comparative stuff there as well that the state does keep up with. We're doing fairly well here in Tyler right now.
Anybody else have any comments? I know I spoke for a while, so my apologies. Okay. Well, we've got some future business coming up, and board workshop, regular meeting, March 1st, March 27th. Man, spring is nearly upon us. We got spring break coming up.
I can tell
Felt
you,
like spring today.
Spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung.
Right, Mr. Jones,
Good
Dr. Grope?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll go ahead then and entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you, Dr. Nation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. And this meeting is adjourned.